Maybe that's the one I ordered from me. Did I order one from me?
Oh.
I knew I thought I was going to as a joke. The Itchy and Scratchy Show.
So I don't know if you guys can hear this, but our voices are kind of like off today. And that actually gives me a good, because we've both been sick. We've been sick like almost every other week for like the last 2 months.
Listen to you being a pessimist.
I'm being realistic. I feel like
I have never been sick ever. There's
although that's usually the
no sickness.
The stance I take is like someone will be like, "Are you getting sick?" And I'm like, "Nope, not at all."
Never succumb to the sickness.
No, I never do. But that brings up a really good point that I wanted to talk about, and my being here is sort of part of that point, and that is, once upon a time, I once heard that if you just have a business that you're running yourself, you don't really have a business, you're just an employee in that business. And if anything should happen, like you get sick, your business has to shut down. And the challenge this whole week has been like, I didn't want to leave because I felt bad, but what was it, like Wednesday? I tried to gut it out until like 2, 3 in the afternoon.
And you were useless for the last hour.
And you were just like, no way. You're like, your eyes are red, you look like death.
You're taking naps. I mean, what is this? A place where you can take breaks?
We don't allow breaks here.
I mean, you know the new motto, don't be Dan.
Hashtag DVD. Definitely need that on a shirt. Yeah. So the point is, in this case, it's like, I think starting out with a business, you really have to keep an eye for the fact that if you're going to establish it as a business, you have to consider what that actually means, in that you might have to find employees at some point to actually keep the business going. Otherwise, it's gonna like.
Otherwise, everything screams to a screeching halt.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I've been sick while not having employees, and it's miserable, but I've got the business. Like, I got to do what I got to do to get everything done.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of just the punches that are thrown at you as a business owner, entrepreneur, professional. And like you, it's very hard to submit and say, I'm too sick to carry on.
Yeah.
But for the well-being of others,
you kind of have
when you start working with other people, or even for the sake of your clients and customers that are walking in not knowing that there's a disease, an infectious rage that is about to hit them in the face.
Yeah. Because that's really weird. Because there have been times where working for like a normal corporate business, I'll show up because it seems like the right thing to do. And you know that feeling when you were like, oh, maybe I should call in the morning or whenever your shift happens to be, and then you have to, the gears start turning and you're trying to figure out who you can call to get someone to fill your spot. So like, you don't really
I also
have
remember the days of just not necessarily caring about my employer.
Yeah.
But like there being those moments of like rebellion where you're like, I'm gonna just call in and say I'm sick.
Yeah.
And then as you grow older, you realize that it affected everybody you work with, not just your employer.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess, obviously you would have to show up regardless. But I mean, has there ever been a time where you were really, really like deathly ill and you still showed up anyways? Here?
Here?
Yeah.
I mean, tend not to get too sick. I'd like to think it's from years of building up immunities. I also have a consciousness that I don't let my mind succumb to being sick.
Which is a good point, yeah. So no,
There have definitely been days where I'm like, I probably shouldn't be at work right now.
yeah,
And as a business owner, you know, it's up to me to ultimately decide whether I'm going to shut the business down for a day, and I have actually done that.
yeah,
And luckily, nobody was affected greatly. I
Yeah.
mean, at the end of the day, we're talking about not life-altering
yeah,
items.
yeah,
But I generally have a relationship with my clients where I can reach out to them.
let them know.
On those days that I've been closed, I also heavily monitor my emails and forward my phones, so that way I can respond accordingly to anything that's coming through.
Yeah. So you just let them know.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I'm always working.
Yeah, you're always engaged. So you just let them know. It's not like you're ever fully disengaged.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's actually a really good point. What do you do when you have to shut down? And then I think if you're a decent enough human being and you get into business, you're always going to have that weight on your shoulders that, well, damn, I can't just take the day off because I feel a little bit under the weather. So how do you reconcile it in your mind to say, well, I just need to let everybody know that it might be delayed a day? And I think I'm answering this as I'm saying it.
Yeah, you are. I mean, everybody gets sick or has that off day.
Yeah.
So really, I've never had a situation where people didn't understand that you were sick for a day and had to
Yeah.
take the day off.
Yeah.
You know, most people actually appreciate that you're not spreading your germs.
That's a good
That they're not going to walk in and you're like snot dripping down and
Yeah.
dying.
I should like, as you're coughing, I should add in like a screenshot of the text that you sent me. It's like, don't come to work. Yes, was that yesterday? Yeah, today's-
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
yesterday.
that was
Because you
yesterday.
said the sniffles are gone, but you still felt like feces.
yeah,
And immediately I said, stay home.
yeah. And I think, yeah, it really is an important consideration that if you're going into business, and it's really cool and romantic when you get into it to be like, yeah, I'm just gonna do everything. I'm gonna save myself a bunch of money because I run everything. But business isn't just about the deliverables a lot of times.
Well, where you think you're saving money by not hiring anybody,
Yeah,
you're not doing yourself any favors on time.
yeah,
And time is by far the most valuable
yeah.
to getting anything done.
Maybe when you're younger and don't have really big obligations, but both of us have we both have kids. We both have some form of family to tend to.
We also have bigger aspirations.
Yeah, that too.
We want to be bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
And the only way to be bigger than yourself is the help of others.
To make so that it helps to make you the room to actually do that. So I mean, when did you decide, or when did you start to realize I really can't do this on my own? Or had you always known because of your experience that you needed to find someone to fill in?
I always knew that eventually I would have to hire somebody. And eventually I would have to hire multiple people.
Mhm.
The real thing was, so when I took over the business, one was really seeing what worked for me. Two was seeing, because I bought an existing business, where the business actually had potential, who it actually had coming to it already. So really for the first year while I was learning a trade and a craft, I was also seeing where the business had already been built up and what areas I could go after. I listened to, what the opportunities with my current clients were and what the opportunities were with the clients that were coming in that were just finding me off the street, because I wasn't marketing the business outside of
Word of mouth.
my direct groups of friends and family. So it was really just building upon the whole, what am I hearing from everybody? What am I doing? Where can I take this? Who actually needs these services? And who's willing to pay them
Yeah.
or pay for them?
Yeah, so it's just a matter of figuring out how to fill those gaps or put people in those roles.
And then the second year was, you know, learning what avenues to start making the changes. And then the third year was finding the avenues to start the marketing and spread my reach, which is when BNI came in. And that was definitely a game changer because, like I've said before, I was never a salesperson. I was always an internal upseller, I'll say. Because in restaurants and hotels, unless you're in the sales team and you're a frontline employee, the people are already coming in. They've already bought the product. They've already made their reservations. They've already committed to sitting down in your booth in your section and having dinner at your restaurant. So then it's up to you to add to that experience. So BNI kind of made it understandable to me that sales wasn't just, hey, I want you to buy from me, I need you to buy from me, this is going to be the price of the product, you know, come do business with me. Here's my value, blah, blah, blah. It turned it into sales as a relationship and just getting to know people and letting people know what you do on a relationship status. And that works out for my personality completely. Because I like to talk to people, I like to get to know people. And then now we're into the fourth year, and the business is growing because of the previous efforts, and the only way to continue on was to hire somebody else, because I couldn't do it all by myself. You know, my time limit for production and sales met a plateau. And in order to continue growing, I needed somebody else to do the work. So that way I could continue building relationships.
So that wasn't really that hard for you to let go so much as it was just finding the people to take that spot. Because you already appreciated that it was going to have to happen at some point. I think for most people.
And the real struggle was the idea of finding somebody that's as good as I am.
That's always a challenge for anybody who's starting a business, because they think that they're a godsend.
Nobody's going to be as good as you.
No,
you know,
never.
In your mindset, it's your baby.
I know you're not a fan of like Gary Vaynerchuk, but he did say that regardless of what you think, you're always going to look for someone to fill your role, but no one is ever going to live up to like 100% of you. Maybe like 99.7, but never as close to you. And they'll be good in like one particular thing, like really good, because I think you can get subject matter experts who are just specifically good at the embroidery part of the business, but they won't know the whole thing.
Or just in their internal desire, they're going to be better at embroidering things than standing over the heat press. You know, because the heat affects them in a different way, or just the process of lining things up occurs to their mind a different way.
Or the scents that are coming off the machine might be causing them cancer.
Well, I mean, that
won't do. Some tests.
So that actually is a good segue to, did you have, so it sounds like you have like a pretty strong business mind about all this stuff. Do you have, since you can never get 100% of the value that you get out of a new employee, do you have to say, well, I know that I'm only going to get this much of a percentage out of this person, but it allows me to be more effective in these other areas? And is there sort of a number in your head, like, and I think, I know your answer on this. You've already given, but I'm going to have you sort of explain it. And it's that for every, I think there's a certain amount that you want, let's say, me to produce for the amount that you're paying me, for example, if that kind of rings a bell to what I'm trying to get at.
It's currently not set in any stone by any means. Because because right now it's just all about building and getting things going,
Yeah.
and maintaining them going. But within factoring in my costs and overhead,
Yeah.
and
You could just give like a
the
generic
things
number.
that we've talked on the past episode,
Yeah.
I do have an understanding of how much production has to go on to meet the, there's an acronym for this that we used to always say in hospitality, more so in housekeeping, as far as efficiency. Wow, I'm blanking.
That's fine.
But there is an efficiency ratio, where so many things have to be produced in a certain time period in order to maintain profit. And if you start falling out of that, then the value's not there anymore.
Yeah, I think the generic way you kind of set it up or you couched it for me was like, for every you should be able to get double the amount of what you're paying me, I think is what you said to me. And that was just, that's like obviously like a very generic way of doing
Well,
it.
I should be, with what I'm paying you, I should be able to bring in twice that.
Yeah. Is that a
That's
minimum?
where the value is. I mean, that's a generic statement.
Okay, yeah.
It's a return on investment kind of thing.
Yeah.
If I'm paying for a product, then I should get twice the value of that.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So if I'm paying you an hourly wage, that hourly wage should allow me enough time to make twice that.
Yeah. And you're not just talking about deliverables alone, it's also what you're able to accomplish on your own time since I'm, okay.
Exactly.
Got it.
Now, if I'm paying a salesperson, there's a little different structure to that, because you're factoring in commissions and a bunch of other stuff. But as an employee, worker, contractor, that I have a certain criteria of things that I have to meet in order to keep that person in their role too.
That's true. So all that being said, how tricky has it been to fill this role? And to be like completely blunt, me being in this role was actually sort of a Hail Mary, because it was just like mutually beneficial to the both of us. I needed something a little more consistent to be able to float myself, to be able to accomplish stuff for Echelon Media, because I'm not quite as established. And Zach was getting to a point where, like you said, you had just kind of plateaued as far as...
There had been other people working here before you.
Yeah. So how many
The
people...
struggle was real trying to, one, reach the right market of people to hire, and not pay an unnecessary arm and a leg for it, because now even Craigslist is charging $50 per category that you want to list in. The big challenge was people actually coming to even just meet and check out the business that you might potentially be employing them for. There were a couple of people that, they were kind of on the unemployment train, where they were just, doing their duties to keep their unemployment status, which was very interesting.
Yeah.
And then there was one potentially golden hire that had experience in another related trade, and she ended up running back to the circus, literally. There was another guy that I gave a second chance to, not within my business, but as a person, because he had a little bit of a history, and after hearing him out, I gave him that chance, and that failed miserably. And then there
You
was
gotta give him a third chance.
a kid over the summer that was recommended to me, and he was a decent worker. He was willing to learn, which is really the big part in all this, is you got to be willing
Yeah.
to learn.
Yeah.
But he, went back to school after the end of the summer. So really, his hire was to give me time during the summer to develop the business, which
It gave you a little bit of runway.
it gave me
yeah.
a runway. And then then there was another person that was
Then you had-
supposed to start up,
Yeah.
you're aware of, and then
And then me.
we just all
Yeah.
made it connect.
And this has been mutually beneficial, because even doing these videos has been more than just working on the deliverables. It's actually part of developing the business outright.
And the culture that we've established here since you've came in,
Yeah.
it's there's a lot of things happening with our partnership. If you will.
Well, and I think that's part of the challenge of looking for somebody, is that you can just find someone to fill the role who can just, clamp down the heat press and like put stuff in the
Learn how
embroidery
to
machine.
cut
I don't know,
transfer sheets.
like cut transfer sheets. But then the other part of it is
You
that
must be able to know how to use scissors.
well, I mean, we laugh about that, but I mean, it's like you could suck, but if you have the willingness to learn, that's great. And for me, going in, I just was, well, I mean, I think it was just a matter of maturity. It was just like, I'm going into this like any other job. There's going to be a learning curve. I'd rather not look stupid for a long period of time. So let me learn it as fast as possible.
But you've got those qualities too. Like in order to do what you're
Yeah.
doing with the videos and photography and videography and we'll say motion design, because it really is, there's some motion design involved in this. You have the eye for it. You have the attention to detail.
Yeah.
You know how things line up. So, we'll call it the born-in skill.
Yeah. And it's tricky. Those are really good points, because it's tricky, I think, if you're a potential employee to somebody. It's that joke where, how am I supposed to get experience if the job that I'm signing up for requires experience? But the reason why that is because oftentimes it's the only way that they can vet you and make sure that you're actually good enough for that position, because the employer stands to lose money by bringing in someone who could potentially crash the business. So, like, again, hashtag DBD. I have a potential hire story. I was trying to bring someone in just solely on the execution side of things, not necessarily looking for someone who was going to expand on the value that could be provided to company outfitters necessarily, just someone who would be there to take the place and do the daily stuff. And long story short, they sucked. That was a learning lesson.
There were a couple of gaps in this too. So Mark didn't have a schedule, we'll say. So when the opportunity to go on these meetings and build his business were coming up, that they were happening in increments where he'd be here for a couple hours and then run off to a meeting, come back after an hour, be here for a couple hours. So there was some gap there. So we brought in this guy to kind of maintain that gap.
Yeah. So it was a little disruptive, and it becomes, it definitely becomes a challenge as far as the business goes. But I mean, that was sort of me learning that part of the. This isn't my first time around trying to hire people, but it definitely proves that just because you see potential, you still have to see if they actually are fit for the company and the company culture.
If they have any drive.
If they even have any drive. And I think
if they even want to be here, not necessarily here.
Yeah, I think it's one thing when people show up at an interview, and we've all done this. We try to say all the right, nice things for the interview. but then when it comes down to it, they may suck. And for me, when I started working with you, I don't feel like I like fluffed myself up necessarily. I was just like, hey, let's just see what I can do. And I just let my work speak for itself. So it is tricky in that way to vet someone who's the right person. But I think if you can somehow see if they have a good track record for the willingness to learn and having solid work ethic, and if they're willing to shut up and actually listen, I think that's a good one. Honestly, I think that's a good one. Because remember the first few days with that person?
They already had opinions about everything.
Oh, everything.
Sorry, the only day with that person.
No, there was a couple of days with that person.
Really?
Yeah, there was multiple rounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it really?
But like right out the get-go is, so do we listen to music?
Oh, yeah.
And
it's like, no.
And then my advice was, yeah, but don't put on anything that would make
frighten
grandma
customers,
go running.
Yeah.
And
they like right off the bat. I mean, I think, and see, that's the funny thing, is the sooner you can integrate into the company culture, you get away with those things, because it wasn't long after that you and I kind of played around with the music selection in the store, but only at appropriate times.
Right.
Not in the middle of when things were the most busy and we
always with a watchful eye on the door.
I mean, even if we'll be listening to a podcast of something that's business related, and I'll stop whatever it is because you need to be able to hear the client, and there needs to be a conversation there. So I think it's just it's hard to sort of vet for those requirements and see what, I don't know, I guess common sense the person has.
Yeah.
So
this person clearly had no prior work.
And they had they didn't really have any motivation. I mean, they seemed, in our conversations, I think they were fired up about the possibility of things. But it's one thing to be fired up about the possibilities. It's another thing to actually be there and start doing it.
Be there.
Yeah. And that's it. And I think that's the other challenge for someone who needs to, hold on. Has that already been 20 minutes?
Oh, absolutely.
Wow. It's a good thing we have two cameras.
Be there.
Or be square. It's been 30 minutes.
30? I seriously wonder if this person's ever coming back for their robes.
Oh, down there at the bottom?
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to get too far afield on this. I kind of want to wrap it up and say that, yeah, you definitely want to take into consideration that, hold on. But you definitely want to pay attention to the fact that as a business, there will be times that you're going to get sick. There will be times that...
Yeah, how do we go from being sick to...
Well, I mean, that was to sort of discuss all the possible things that could happen in the process of realizing that you're going to have to hire someone to build a real business.
I think we went on to a whole nother episode.
Potentially. But I mean, that's why I want to sort of wrap it up before we get too far afield. The thing is, like, if you want to look at the scale of a small business, I think the IRS defines it as like anything from like 500 customers and less. So, I mean, you can still consider yourself a small business, but if you want to build a sustainable business, you do have to consider that at some point you have to hire people on to actually keep the business running, so it doesn't fall on you. So that if there are times where you do get sick, or if there's a crisis, a family emergency, you can fall on highly qualified people. And by that, part of the conversation that we were talking about is we gave a few examples. And highly qualified doesn't necessarily mean what's on their resume so much as it is just their willingness to learn, their work ethic, and what else? Willingness to learn, work ethic, and just showing up. And some of those things you really can't tell based off their resume alone, or even on your first few interviews. You have to see it happen day to day, and I think that's part of the vetting process, and that's why most businesses have like a probationary period, because they need to see if you're going to be a fit and if you're going to falter and fail within that 90-day probation period for most businesses. In this case, this person didn't even make it past a month, let alone a week. Yeah. So, just to wrap on that, definitely consider that you're going to have to hire someone. Definitely make a point to vet them.
Always keep your eyes open for people that you could team up with and hire. And I like to look at it more as a partnership.
It's more of a collaborative partnership.
Yeah, I don't like the whole connotation between employer. While there does need to be
that balance, those boundaries, yeah.
You know, it's the making people a part of the work that they're doing, the initiative to make decisions in the work that they're doing.
It's the personal initiative that the person has. Because I mean, honestly, for me, like I never had any experience in the embroidery business besides being like in my teens and trying to make band patches. And I mean, granted, maybe those skills had something to do with me succeeding here, but it's just the personal initiative and even the human desire to actually help you as another human being in this endeavor. And I think, not to throw millennials under the bus, because I'm sure there's people in different age groups that do this, it's just that whole like what's in it for me thing can be a problem, because then it's just, I'm just gonna show up, I'm gonna do what I was told to do off this list, and then you just pay me and I'll leave. Because then if you get a sense for that, then you're really just going to get the value that you're getting for that person and their time, maybe even less, because they're unwilling to do anything more beyond that. I mean, for us, like for me, as soon as I started working here, I was already invested in the fact that I wanted Zach to win. And so it wasn't just about, obviously, the deliverables,
But it was, what else could we do?
but it was to expand on what this business can provide for everybody else and then for you.
Well, yeah, and I want you to win, like every day from the get-go. It's like, all right, how can I help promote Mark?
Yeah, and even this, like this is...
Well, this is just happening to those skill sets, you know, these are the fun moments.
Yeah, and this is intuitive, 'cause this is like easy. So with that, I guess I could say we're gonna wrap.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. But the other thing I want to say is
Happy New Year.
we are definitely looking for someone to fill my current role, doing just the deliverables. And we're obviously looking for someone who has the personal initiative, the strong eye for design, the work ethic. And I think if we're looking for someone who's more of a doer, but more of an apprentice, I want to say.
Yeah.
Because right now we're looking at someone who may potentially want to start their own business. And so that would be a great fit. If you're interested in going into what would you call this? The apparel and design.
Decoration, custom decoration.
Custom apparel business.
See, the thing I don't like about the word apparel is my reach spans just clothing.
Yeah.
Like blankets, bags, accessories. Now with the vinyl cutter, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with that.
Yeah. So is that apparel and textiles
I'm about to order
technically?
some materials to play with.
Yeah, so within that space, if they're interested in developing something in the design space, design textiles and apparel, if you know someone, or if they just want to create deliverables, I would say if you're just about to come out of high school, or if you're currently going to college as a freshman or a sophomore and don't have a job, definitely take a look at Say It With Stitches. If you're looking to put something in your resume that has real world deliverables that are catered to like real businesses, because Zach and Say It With Stitches and the Company Outfitters model actually works with companies. And what better thing to have on your resume than to say you actually produced products.
And even outside the businesses, my clients that I have on gift decoration, they span all different types of things, and they're always looking for something, and we're always having that conversation, because I love having the relationship with my clients. That's what makes them clients and not customers.
And and just the other part of it too, as far as the sort of invisible, unsaid thing that comes to resumes is connections matter. They really do.
Yeah.
Like, no matter how, and it seems unfair sometimes, but why not have that unfair advantage?
Shout out to my mom.
Yeah.
You know, she always used to drive home the network every opportunity you get, and I never really got it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I said earlier, it's just meeting everybody you can.
Yep. Connections absolutely matter. And that's something I didn't realize until I started working for Sherwin-Williams a couple of years back. I noticed that every job I'd ever gotten, regardless of how weird or different it was outside of what I thought I knew, was actually because of someone I knew in that industry. So if you want to break into this industry, or at least connect with people who are in many different industries, because Zach's company caters to so many different industries, by all means, like, come in and join the team. And we have fun here. We have jokes and we do stuff like this all the time. And it's only going to keep growing from here.
Yeah, you might have to wear a beanie though.
You might have to wear a beanie though, because it's a thing, part of company policy.
When people walk in, here's your your beanie.
I know. This
Yeah.
Let's see if you can wear it. With that being said, if you like this video and you saw this on Facebook, which is probably where it's going to show up first, go ahead and like it and share it with people who may want to be a part of this as an employee, or if you just thought this was insightful. And if you're starting a business and you're looking for some thoughts and ideas on how to hire people, maybe you could reach out to Zach and just shoot him a private message on Facebook. Other than that, go ahead and like the Company Outfitters Say It With Stitches Facebook page. You have something for him? The show. You can be back up over here because that's gonna like disappear. And if you see this on YouTube, do the same thing. Give it a thumbs up, share it, share it. Thoughts, questions, or concerns? That said, I'm Mark with Echelon Media. That's been Zach with Say It With Stitches, Company Outfitters, and that's it. That's it. It's over.
Excellent show.
Excellent.
Where's the after party?
Uns.